Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. The sales manager role is a tough one, especially in today's market, with increased expectations from teams and an array of external factors adding to the complexity of selling. Anna Glynn, speaker, author and coach on thriving workplaces, says the pressure has ramped up and sales leaders are feeling more uncertain about which strategies to use, resulting in a drop in confidence. So what can they do? Well, traditionally, sales training is focused on building skills, but Anna reckons it's best to start with mindset and toolset, or as she calls it, off-field factors. Anna's talking to Chris Ashmore.
Things like how to influence, how to build pipelines, how to negotiate, how to communicate, manage clients and stakeholders. These factors typically build a salesperson's aptitude, and it's exactly what they need to go out and sell. And these skills are particularly important, definitely still to today. But if we consider the challenges that are being faced by sales teams right now, I don't believe that these traditional sales skills will actually help them overcome these challenges or help them handle the pressure that's currently about. So I believe that the focus needs to change.
So what are the challenges that sales teams and leaders of sales teams face these days?
Well, sales teams are always under an enormous amount of pressure because realistically, they are the backbone of most businesses. So sometimes, or quite often, if a sales team doesn't survive, that might mean that the organisation doesn't survive either. So it's an incredibly challenging role with a lot of pressure. And on top of that, what we know about sales teams is that they regularly face knockbacks and setbacks. They have to deal with things like market fluctuations, inflation rising. We've also seen more clients change their minds more easily, so it takes longer to actually make a sale these days. And sometimes they have competitors actually launching better or less expensive products. So they've got a lot to deal with, which can make it pretty tough. So that's the sales teams themselves. I think also what's more for sales leaders is that their role is becoming even more difficult. They're being asked more of their teams and their clients. The workplace is changing faster than ever before, and they actually have to try and work out how do they motivate and engage their teams to succeed in a really tough market. On top of that, they've also got to develop that next generation of salespeople. First and foremost, I think the challenge that's facing them as well is that retention and attraction of sales talent. So how do they keep their best talent but also attract quality talent as well? So there's a lot of pressure on sales teams and what's more, sales leaders. And I think that pressure is quite hard to escape.
Absolutely. Well, what's the answer then? I mean, there's a lot of things you talked about then. So what practical steps can leaders do to better handle those challenges?
Well, based on my own research, I believe that we need to be equipping our sales teams with the toolset and also the mindset to be able to succeed in today's environment. So it's all around how do we give our teams the skills to be able to cope well and to handle the pressure that exists, but also how do we thrive in spite of it as well. I tend to talk about these as the off-field factors. So as opposed to the on-field factors, which are the traditional sales skills, I'm talking about the off-field. So what are the resources that we need to set ourselves up to be at our best when we're on-field?
Do you have any examples what that might mean?
So my research would suggest that the tool set and the mindset comes down to things like, are you an optimist? Also, do you have the resilience to cope well? Do you have some really great, strong networks around you that support you during those tough times, but also that you've got those quality relationships with your clients? Also, are you connected to things like your purpose? So you're really motivated during those challenging times as a way to get you through.
Mazars is an international audit, tax and advisory firm committed to helping clients confidently build and grow their businesses. To find out how Mazars can support your business, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.
How do you build that resilience and develop that mindset?
Well, the great news is that all of those things can be learned. So certainly some of us are born with more resilience or more optimism than others. But the good news is that there are some research-backed activities that we can actually adopt and use to strengthen both our resilience and our optimism. So as an example, we know with resilient people, they have really quality relationships with people around them. So they have those people to draw on in times of support, but also to help them during great times as well.
Just a thought, can sales teams perform at their best when they're all together? A lot of companies, organisations have that working from home system and people want to work from home, but can that work with a sales team?
Absolutely. I think it can work with any team. My particular favourite working model is the hybrid model. So I believe that we need opportunities to come into the office and be together, certainly for those connection and learning opportunities. But then I think there's absolutely an opportunity for us to do work the way we want and where we want, which might mean working away from the office, such as working from home. I think in particular for sales teams, it's probably easier to adopt that sort of model when we should be keeping our teams accountable according to their outcomes. And I think with sales teams, it can be really explicit as to whether you've met your KPIs or not. So it should be actually a much easier team to be able to manage if they're in sales.
What are the first steps? What can bosses do right now to better prepare themselves and their teams with a fresh approach?
I think first and foremost, it's about considering shifting our focus. So if we have been upskilling our teams in those traditional sales skills, is there an opportunity for us to think about what else do our teams need to thrive? So is it that in addition to those sales skills, we think about, are we equipping them with the right mindset? Do they have the right toolset to actually succeed in sales? What are the resources that they have available to them? Perhaps that's internally or externally that can help them achieve long-term sustainable performance. I think by shifting our focus to considering those other factors, we actually build those environments where we have thriving sales cultures. So leaders will find that they've got teams that are engaged, they attract top talent, they achieve greater results, and they thrive in the process too. I think without them, there's a lot of opportunities that are actually being missed to do even better, to actually excel in today's environment. Leaders, first and foremost, have to actually set the tone and the example of the behaviours we wish to see. So yes, they need to shift their mindset, but perhaps they need to actually be adopting those behaviours that they want the rest of their teams to follow.
That was speaker, author and coach Anna Glynn. Business Essentials Daily is a SoundCartel podcast. Producers are Nick Schildberger, Chris Ashmore, Jeff Waters and myself. Technical production by Pete Letts. I'm Nicole Goodman. Thanks for listening. We'll bring you more Be Daily next week. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.